Hi everyone, it's Julian Chenin, geophysical data scientist at Bluware, and today we're joined by our Global Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Suri Bhat. So Suri, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences throughout the industry?
Sure. I've actually been a technologist, a software technologist for, I'm counting, this is year number 27 for me in the industry. And I actually started on the R&D side. I started as a software developer. My background is actually engineering. Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting projects I worked on was that of developing a handheld field operator.
Really?
One of the first mobile applications in the oil and gas industry, and this was back in 2003. Here I am looking at cloud and the next transition that our industry is going through.
Right, and that's kind of amazing too, because sort of the different digital initiatives that we were seeing then are still being applied today. We're seeing a lot of these new and innovative technologies take commonplace now. It's coming out of the R&D phase, and it's being actively implemented today across all different industries.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So I think oil and gas industries gets labeled as a laggard, but we work on one of the most sophisticated sciences that exists on the planet today. To go and drill at any location, 100 meters here, 100 meters there, the geology changes. What's under the surface, no one can predict. We deal with uncertainties all the time, and that's why I feel that the industry we serve is actually one of the most complex industries, and we solve very complicated problems that people don't generally realize. That journey of that one drop of gasoline has taken from where it has come and the effort that has gone into it.
And kind of touching on complexity and technology, we've seen a variety of different data formats, ways of working with data, and I would say now than ever before, it's growing at an exponential rate, right? How are some things such as data standardization that's achieved by the OSDU, the Open Subsurface Data Universe, helping us operate more efficiently but at lower costs and unlocking the power, the value of our data?
When most of us use iPhones or Androids, and we don't realize how easy it is. We just go and click on an app and it comes up.
Right.
It's that's sort of the power of standardization. We don't realize that. We just do it naturally. Mm-hmm. But that's what actually standardization brings to the table. Our industry has got several false starts in the past with standardization, but at the end of the day, the reason for standardization is it allows oil companies as well as independent software vendors to interoperate. And data is the primary culprit mainly, and that is what OSDU is trying to resolve. Is let's have a common set of interfaces that we communicate in. It's sort of the same language that we speak. It's I know I can speak Hindi and you can speak French, but the language we communicate in is English, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's sort of similar. OSDU, from a conceptual and then the participation perspective, the intent is to ease that channel, make it easy for companies to communicate, the applications, the data to communicate. That has been the biggest bottleneck.
By having these methods or these kind of standardized channel pipelines for exchanging data, from the innovation that starts with some of these more nimble, agile, smaller startups to the large established corporations that have a whole breadth of experience, it enables that exchange of knowledge to happen much faster. They're able to collaborate quicker, understand their data, but then they're able to use it with new technologies such as artificial intelligence. So how is that taking sort of its place within our industry today? How is artificial intelligence enabling us to do more and understand more?
Knowledge capture is important. We've always seen this transition of folks where a lot of our senior folks that have been in the industry are on their way towards retirement. Even though the term artificial intelligence is used, I would say the challenge is actually capturing real intelligence. Actually, there's nothing artificial about what goes into that intelligence. Actually, real intelligence captured from experts that have been doing this task or this particular exercise or workflow for a long time.
Right.
So it is essential. Again, going back to when there is a lot of data to deal with, problems are getting harder to solve.
Right.
It's a easier way of using the computers to help us out. So it's I always look at artificial intelligence as an augmentation to real intelligence rather than a replacement. And when young folks like yourself come into the industry, it gives you a jump start when when the knowledge has been captured and you don't have to go and look for that one person. You can absorb it from multiple people because artificial intelligence is captured that way.
Right, it retains that,
Yeah.
which is still not going to stop me from, grabbing you for a coffee or something like that. And so, kind of talking about the elephant in the room, sort of to say, we're seeing a lot of these new technologies that are evolving, and a lot has been increasingly more towards the digital space. And we're seeing things like cloud, which is now becoming more and more important in our conversations today as our energy industry continues moving forward. How is the cloud really benefiting companies to, again, be more efficient?
So these energy companies are always facing pressure on capital expenditure because again you're trying to do more with less. So the cloud allows companies to move their capex to essential and opex when it comes to the IT spend.
I see. Okay.
So typically what would happen is a company has to go and buy a bunch of hardware and servers, rack space, IT staff and whatnot, and that sort of counts as a capex that you've invested into this.
Right.
And what the cloud brings to the table is to take this capex and convert it into opex with the scalability, right? You only use what you want, and if you don't need something, you can scale it down. So that's the beauty about the cloud. And at the end of the day, it's about storage and compute.
Right.
It's moving from a storage and compute on your laptop or your desktop or your server to the cloud. It does require a strategy, though.
Right.
That is one of the biggest challenges I have seen where companies just move to the cloud, and we call it the lift and shift model, which I would always preface it with, yes, cloud is a great option for companies to move to, but have a cloud strategy in place. Do not just jump without having a plan, just like anything else.
Right. It's especially in the artificial intelligence world, right? You need to have a specific purpose, a specific application for that AI, really to maximize the value. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer, whether it applies to cloud in the digital space or if it applies in the sustainable space, right? Because there will be a different energy mix depending on different regions. And so the next thing I'd like to ask you about is bringing all these different technologies, all the different factors that we've discussed. We have several macroeconomic and societal kind of pressures, right, to be more sustainable, to be more mindful of our environment. How is this new technology, or these new technologies rather, kind of helping that space, helping to make a better space for all of society?
So I'll start by saying sustainability is a transition, that it's not a light switch where you can go from one sort of energy, one form of energy to another.
Right.
And it's a transition where all of us are equally responsible. It's not just the energy companies, it's the consumers also that come into play.
Right.
Technology has a big role to play because I'll give you an example of carbon capture systems.
Right.
In traditional oil and gas exploration, there is a need for geoscientists to go and figure out where the reservoirs are, which they go through the interpretation and reservoir modeling and whatnot to get to that sweet spot.
Right.
Traditional. And now the same technology can be applied when we're actually trying to do a carbon capture system where we might be looking for shallow hazards, or we might be looking for those carbon areas where we can actually inject carbon into.
Right.
And at CERAWeek, I just saw a presentation where in the United States alone, there's a capacity for 8.3 trillion metric tons of carbon storage.
With a T, right? Not
With
a B.
With a T, yes, yes. So that is what's available for us to actually store carbon. And now that requires technology, subsurface technology, which is where Bluware plays very strongly into, and several of our other partners to go and make it happen. And sort of, so this is a classic example where we can go from using a same technology, applying it from traditional oil and gas exploration and development to actually the greener areas and on the green energy side.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also kind of the beauty of it too, right? Because as we start using technology in different senses, different applications, we start understanding where else it could be beneficial and really unlock those different opportunities. So thank you again, Suri, for coming on board, sharing your different thoughts, your experiences, your perspective. I've certainly learned a lot, and it's been fantastic hearing from you. So thank you again for coming on our show. Deeply appreciate it.
Thank you, Julian.
If you want to be cool like Bluware, be sure to subscribe and follow us for more videos.